Hi, I'm Jamie Borden. Welcome to Starlick's Advanced Drum Grooves. Today we're going to go through some concepts that will not only give you the ability to play some advanced drum grooves, but I'll give you some exercises that will be good for your independence and let you create your own advanced grooves for whatever style of music it is that you're playing right now. I'm going to explain a little bit about my kit here. The bass drum, starting from the ground up, is sitting at a pretty good angle. The reason I do that is if the bass drum was sitting flat, this being the bass drum head, the bass drum beater has to travel too far for impact. So I've set the bass drum at an angle so that the bass drum beater doesn't have as far to travel. It's a lot more natural striking angle, just like any of the rest of my drums. I'm cutting out the extra distance. It's a little easier to play the faster stuff. I'm in much more control of my pedals. My snare drum sits at an angle as well, and I do this because of basically the same reason for the bass drum. I can dig into rim shots, or I can play the center of the head, and I'm in more control of the drum. It doesn't fight itself through my playing. Plus, it sets me up for a little better swooping angle on my toms, easier to get around. Next is my hi-hat setup. I've got my main hi-hat here and an X-hat or remote hat. This I can set basically however I want, loose and washy or tight, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm doing double bass work and I want to go to my X-hat, I know it's going to be under control, therefore not making any of the rest of the band angry. That's about it as far as a kit. I've got a tambourine over here, and the music I've been playing lately I've had to orchestrate a lot, and the tambourine's really added a lot of color to a lot of things. There's 13 essential rudiments. I've used 5 of them that have really helped my independence and increased the chops that I've got for my playing. I'm going to go over those 5 rudiments with you here today. The first being single stroke, second being double strokes, third being flams of any kind. The next is a 5-stroke rough or open roll, and the fifth being paradiddles of all shapes and form. I'm going to demonstrate those for you right now. I'm going to give you 16th note patterns of all these rudiments, skipping over the quarter note and 8th note patterns because this is an advanced video. If you do get lost, go to the book that's included with this video, and it should help you find your way. The demonstration of the first one is going to be single strokes in 16th note pattern. When we use that rudiment later on in the video, I'm going to put some accents in it that will flavor it up. All these are going to be straight ahead, no accents right now as I'm showing you the essential rudiment. Next is double strokes. The next rudiment I'm going to demonstrate for you is a flam tap. It sounds like this. Next rudiment is another flam. This is a flam tap tap, and this is used in a triplet pattern. Sounds like this. The next rudiment that I'm going to show you is a 5-stroke rough. I'm going to show it to you slow so you can get the sticking pattern on this. Sounds like this. I'm going to show that to you up to speed. The next rudiment is another form of a flam. This is called a Swiss flam. What Swiss flam is it doesn't alternate. It continually repeats starting with the right hand or the left hand. Sounds like this. That also takes on sort of a triplet feel. The next series of rudiments, which all are of the paradiddle family, will start with single. Sounds like this in a 16th note pattern. Next is a double paradiddle. Triple paradiddle. The next form of a paradiddle that I'm going to show you now is another one that doesn't alternate hands. It's called a paradiddle diddle. You can start it with the right or the left, but it doesn't alternate. It sounds like this. Okay? I'm going to change the sound sources on this particular rudiment so that you can hear the difference between how it doesn't alternate and so forth and so on. Sounds like this. That series of rudiments that I just demonstrated for you are now going to be used in an independence exercise that I've developed. What I'm going to do is get started on a samba pattern with the low end, meaning the hi-hat and the bass drum. The samba pattern, played slowly, is played like this. You're accenting the second note of the double stroke. Okay? The hi-hat is a very integral part of this groove. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and it creates the loping motion. I'm going to play it once again for you, slow. Okay, I'm going to take the first rudiment that I demonstrated, which is single stroke, open rolls, and I'm going to put some accents in there, which will be notated in the booklet with the video. And listen how they play against each other. And this is very important for your independence. It makes your brain think on two different levels. I'm going to start it by playing the samba groove straight, and I'm going to play a straight set of 16th notes over the top of it in single stroke pattern. Sounds like this. Okay, from that pattern, I'm going to start adding in accents. I'm going to show you one series of accents, but you can write this out yourself, and you can put accents in any place you want throughout that 16th note pattern and really come up with some interesting groove patterns. I'm going to start out with this particular accent pattern right now. I'll show you how the first paradiddle sounds over this groove and take you further after that. Here we go. I changed the sound sources on this particular exercise so you could hear where the paradiddle is starting and ending. The next exercise that I'm going to do is another paradiddle, but I'm starting on the second note of the paradiddle pattern. So it's basically going to be played instead of right, left, left, left. I'm going to play it starting with the left hand. Okay? You can take the paradiddle from any point within the paradiddle and start it with a different hand on a different drum and come up with a completely different sounding groove. I'm going to start with a straight paradiddle, and then I'm going to play a couple different versions of paradiddles, and you'll hear how the actual groove changes. I'm going to do the flam tap over this rudiment feel, over the samba groove. Sounds like this. The next one I'm going to do is the triplet flam, flam tap tap, over that samba groove. And you'll hear how one plays against the other, and this is where your independence comes in. Next exercise is another flam over that samba groove. This is the Swiss flam. Sounds like this. The next thing I'm going to show you is a groove that I developed from a double paradiddle. What makes this groove interesting is it was an existing groove already. I just happened on it from my practice with paradiddles. Basically, it's called a bembe. It's a Latin rhythm. Using the double paradiddle in its triplet form and letting the accents fall in places where you normally wouldn't let them fall created this Latin rhythm. One of the exercises I showed you earlier, the double stroke, adding the accents to a double stroke on the second note of the double stroke, which I utilize in this double paradiddle. It's very important to practice this exercise. So to preempt this Latin rhythm I'm going to show you the double stroke with the accents on the second note of each stroke. Sounds like this. Now I'm going to play this double paradiddle for you in a straight triplet form so you can see where I'm coming from, and then I'm going to change the accents. That's a straight double paradiddle. The pattern of that paradiddle makes it fall into a triplet feel, so you automatically play a double paradiddle in triplet. That's how many notes there are in the full pattern. Now I'm going to show you this bembe pattern that is a Latin rhythm that I derived from that very rudiment. It sounds like this. You can see where mastering these rudiments is really going to help your independence. That's not something that just every drummer can sit down and play. I'd like you to hear this now in context with the band. It sounds like this. You'll notice I did a slight variation within that bembe pattern, and I'm going to show that to you now. It's using my double kicks. Next thing I'd like to talk about is funk grooves. I'm going to give you just a few quick examples of a funk groove, one in an 8th note pattern, one in a 16th note pattern. And then I want to flash over to what the band's doing and how I built a groove with the bass player, anticipating one, the few little accents that we did together that really made that groove come together strong. Basically the same groove and in a 16th note pattern sounds like this. Let's hear what the band has to say. shuffle groove. Shuffle grooves are used in a number of styles of music: country, rock, blues, jazz, you name it, shuffle's there. What changes this groove throughout the various styles of music is where the pulse is held. The pulse is always the same. I'd like to play a couple examples of a shuffle for you here. Heavy-handed shuffle sounds a little like this. Heavy-handed meaning I play the pulse on the hi-hat itself. Okay, on the snare drum in a shuffle, playing it without the backbeat ghost note really dries it up a lot. I notice whenever I play a shuffle, no matter in what style of music, I'm always laying a backbeat in on that snare drum. It's very, very important to me. I'm going to play it dry with no backbeat. With the backbeat. Okay, let me play this now a little heavier on the foot. This would be more on a straight rock type of shuffle. Still using the backbeat. I'm just using the same pulse on the foot as I am the hand. An interesting version of the shuffle is usually used, well, I shouldn't say usually, is used quite often in country music. The pulse is reversed using the left foot first instead of the right foot. It creates kind of a bounce for a country music type groove. It sounds like this. This is referred to as basically a New Jack shuffle. Sounds like this. Let's hear what that one sounds like with the band. Tony's an incredible bass player. And that groove is called a New Jack Shuffle, is what the hip-hop name for that groove is. The next groove I'm going to show you is that same shuffle. It's in a rock feel, though. It's more of a boogie. And I'm using my double bass extensively in this. The pulse of this groove falls right at the low end. I'm going to give you an example of that slow. Okay, I'm going to keep that pulse there no matter what else is happening around me. Over the top of that, I can use splang, splang-a-lang, or I can follow the pulse directly. No matter what happens above, I'm keeping the pulse below. Everything different on the top, the backbeat, the downbeat, whatever, just adds more color. Let me play that for you slow. Now I'm going to speed that up to speed and give it that boogie feel. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's check that one out with the band. Creating a part or a groove for a song is the next section of this video. what I basically want to go over with you is listening to the rest of the band around you. You've got a guitar player, a bass player. That's the meat of the band that you should be listening to. But you've also got a vocalist and what other sections might be going on, horns, violins, whatever your situation is currently. You need to listen to everything. It's very easy for a drummer to step on the toes of another musician. And it's hard for you to step back and listen to the music from beyond rather than from where you're at. It's hard to become one with a unit if you're overplaying. So really listen to things that are going on around you. After you listen to the groove and you listen to the guitar player, take those ideas and build on them, but make sure you're grooving, because if it ain't in the pocket, you're not working. I've got my guitar player here, Victor, and he wrote a couple of pieces for me to create a part to. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways that I played these parts. We'll start out with the first one with Victor playing it by himself. The way I approached that guitar part, I could have gone one or two ways in my own mind of playing that. I could have played straight through it, which I'm going to show you right now. It was just a 16th note kind of non-loping straight through groove that kind of played underneath the bass player and the guitar player. It sounded like this. What I ultimately came up with for that rhythm was kind of a broken samba feel almost, because it's in 4, but the actual guitar accents cut that bar of 4 up, and it makes it sound almost like it's in odd time. So I wanted to give it more of a plodding, kind of grooving sound, and I came up with something, like I said, that's kind of a broken samba. It sounds like this. That's what we ultimately did, and here's what it sounds like. The next part was a little heavier part he brought to me, a heavier guitar rhythm. I had several different ways to approach this one. Played it with a straight, kind of a 8th note feel over the top of it, just straight ahead. And this is what it sounded like. I listened to tapes back of this particular piece. The straight thing just wasn't quite cutting it. The guitar was doing too much. I needed to find another pulse that carried that song through. So I started doing a quarter note trick on the hi-hat where I'm doing it's called a shoulder tip accent on the hi-hat. Not only did I do that, but on the shoulder part of that actual hi-hat pattern, I loosened the hi-hat just enough to accent 1, 2, 3, and 4 of that beat. Sounds like this. Made that groove a little more, made it move a little more. You notice also on the bass drum and the snare drum I added quite a few more notes throughout that measure of music. It actually kind of helped it do this loping move throughout the groove. by the time we finished that, we needed an intro for that song. So I turned the 8th note rhythm that I was doing into a 16th note rhythm. It sounded like this. Okay, that wasn't quite enough, so I added some tambourine for color, and this is what I came up with. From that, we went straight into the groove. This is what it sounds like. Check it out. The key is to be inventive in music that you're playing. I don't care what style it is, Latin, country, jazz, blues, rock, fusion, it doesn't matter. It's creativity. And don't ever let anyone sell you short of that. You know, short of stepping on people's toes, you really need to let loose with your creative spirit. And the best thing to do is to practice a lot. Get these ideas, get these rudiments, get these ideas embedded in your head and use them to the best of your ability. Don't cut yourself short, have a good time, and good luck with everything.